Now we're going to talk about supporting the die-off or Herx. Herx is the Herxheimer reaction, which is basically when these nasties die, they release toxins into your body. Sometimes the toxins are too much for the liver to be able to handle, and when the toxins get into the bloodstream, then that can leave you feeling really exhausted, sluggish, and cause all sorts of things. For me, the worst one is if I end up with migraines, really bad tension headaches, which can leave me in crippling pain, and I have not enjoyed that process over a lot of years. But if you can follow some of these things, it's going to make it so much easier for you. I wish I knew this years ago when I first started going through this. I mean, I probably started trying to kill off these nasties about 6 years ago. That's a long time, but I didn't know half of this stuff. So really pay attention and do some research and find which way you're going to go as far as managing this die-off reaction. So what is it and what is actually happening? Like I said, they are dying and releasing toxins into your body. Now, ammonia seems to be the biggest one, and that really does affect you, but something else I read said there might be 78 different toxins that are released at the same time, or honestly, who knows? With all the different strains, I mean, whatever it is, it's bad. But it's getting into your bloodstream and it's screwing with you, so that's no good. So what helps? First thing is, we want to support the liver. The liver is our big detoxification center. Its job is to filter all the bad stuff out so that your body can keep on working at its best. Now, when there's a ton of bad stuff in there, the liver just gets backed up and it can't do anymore. Like I said, it goes everywhere else. And once it's into the bloodstream, we're in trouble. So get some liver support. I think that's a great place to start. So I've got a couple of different ones that I've used recently. This one is still on my use. This is Liver Guard by Life. Now this one has, milk thistle extract, globe artichoke, molybdenum, and there's a few other bits and pieces in there. Alright, just helps to leave the liver doing its thing. This one also has some extra NAC and glutathione, both really great antioxidants that help support the liver. Grapeseed extract, alpha-lipoic acid, L-carnitine, scoot root, schizandra, and a few different other things. So something like that is a great place to start, just to give your liver a little bit of support. If you need more, then going to straight glutathione or N-acetyl or cysteine is a good way to go. Do your research, maybe talk to your naturopath about which is the best way for you to be able to move forward with that. I have tried both of these things and I've heard different reports as to which one is better. I'm pretty sure NAC is the precursor to glutathione. If you are using this, your body can help to produce more glutathione on its own, and that's great. Honestly, like I said, I've used both and I'm now just comparing to see if one works better than the other. When I was doing really bad, like after a really brutal killing period and dealing with the die-off from that, I was using a lot of glutathione, some liposomal stuff, which is sprayed directly under the tongue and goes through that way, plus some, I think it was some capsules as well. And that just helps for, same thing, liver support, processing all these nasty things through the body, helping the liver to be able to work better to do its job. As well as that, we use some other things to pull toxins from the body. So charcoal is a great one. So this is activated charcoal, comes from ground up coconuts, and all you do with this is you mix it in with some water, drink it, it goes through your system, and it binds to the toxins that are inside the body and pulls them out. Now, there are cautions that come along with this, because while it's pulling out the toxins that are in there, if you're having your other supplements or medications and stuff too close to this sort of stuff, it could bind onto that and take them out of the body as well. So the advice is to give it an hour and a half to 2 hours away from any medications or supplements, so that it isn't getting in there and taking that away from you and then rendering it useless. Okay? Quantities vary. I recommend starting out slowly and working your way up. Again, have a look at what the directions are on the package itself. You can do some more research as well, or work with a naturopath to try and find what works for you. This one here is Toxaprevent, so this one is from a naturopath. It works very similarly to the activated charcoal in terms of binding to those toxins and dragging out of the body in a safe manner, and that's great. So as well as these sorts of things, there are other means we can use, and saunas is a great one. There's your regular sauna and you've got your infrared sauna. There are advantages to both. On your dry sauna, you are generally sweating out the toxins, and that can be a good thing. I personally had great benefit from it, but I also noticed some adverse effects for me personally. So the great benefit, one thing I noticed was my fat composition changed. So with toxins, if the liver can't deal with them, it generally tries to push them outside, and it'll store the excess toxins in the fat. Now, when I was using the sauna on an almost daily basis for a good period of about 3 months, I actually noticed that my fat tissue, especially around my stomach, went from being almost a harder composition to a soft, light and fluffy composition. So I could tell it was actually getting in there and dragging things out. When I've stopped using the sauna or stopped using like this sort of thing, I've noticed that that builds up and it changes that fat composition again. So I know that it works really well. The far infrared sauna works in a similar manner, except you're not, well, I don't know all the details honestly. I just know that it works in getting you to get rid of some of those different things. The infrared radiation gets in there and it does wonders to the body. Now, you could use infrared light, you could use infrared mats. There are different things in there that will help to push that stuff in there and help your body sweat it out, remove the excess toxic load, and that's great. Another tool I use is enemas, specifically coffee enemas. So while it isn't too glamorous, it is very effective. So you get your ground up coffee, obviously boiling water, diluted with warm water, and set that up in your enema kit, and then obviously that goes up the out tube and goes into your colon. The coffee is supposed to stimulate the gallbladder to release toxins, supposedly. I've heard different reports on this one. So they say a good 15 minutes inside there is the best way to do it. Some people will recommend you just lie on your back. Others will recommend you lie on each side or one side for a set period of time. So it's really getting into the different areas of the colon. The colon is shaped in this sort of a way. So whatever, I have tried all sorts of different things, and I tend to just go with whatever feels right on the day and not worry about too much about the specifics. The other thing about the coffee enemas is it supposedly helps the body produce more glutathione. Glutathione, that natural antioxidant, and you then even more liver support, which is fantastic. I'm going to go back to the saunas for a second, because there is another thing that comes into play. So where there are saunas in some health clubs, there are quite often steam rooms. Just be wary of the steam rooms. While the steam rooms will help you sweat the stuff out, quite often these steam rooms, they don't have a water filter on there, so you're getting chlorinated water that's going in and creating this steam and going into your body, plus you're breathing in this gas, and you could be increasing your toxic load and stimulating things in a negative way. So I would steer away from that unless you know that they have a good quality water filter on there that's taking out the chlorine and all sorts of other nasty particles. If it's purified water that's going and creating the steam, fantastic, that's great. The last thing they say with supporting your die-off is rest. Try not to do too much. As you go through the killing process, you will find that the reaction almost builds. So it might be a gradual start where you don't notice too much, but after a while your energy starts to drop off and you really notice. Now, resting and not doing so much is quite difficult for most of us because we generally have to work or support a family or something. Very few of us have the luxury of actually having enough time to rest as much as we need to go through this process. Me personally, I've been dealing with chronic fatigue for 8+ years now. That's a long time for me to just rest and chill out. and it's already cost me a huge amount of money, but time, same thing. So you want to rest as much as you can rest, but you still want to be able to have enough energy to be able to do what you need to do. So when you are doing the killing off process, just proceed with caution and don't go too overboard with the protocol. If you do too much too soon, that die-off reaction may just really spike and leave you with no energy, or like I said, I'd suffer from migraine sometimes, which could leave me in bed for days at a time, unable to do anything. Alright, it's not a good idea. You're better off to back it off and just do things at a gradual process so you are not impacted quite so severely. It's not an easy process to go through, but as long as you can support this and manage what you're doing by managing the killing stage, by not going too hard at certain times and going really hard at other times, and supporting the system to be able to get rid of the toxic load, you should do fine. Just take your time with it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I know I like to do things exactly as they should be, but again, like I spoke about with the elimination diet, you've got to do what works for you. So instead of going, all right, this protocol says I have to do this, this, and this by the book, forget about it. Throw the book out, you use it as a guide, and then you use what works for you, because you are a unique individual with unique needs with your own body. You have to take what is there and use what is the best from it to help you in the best way possible, so you can get on with your life and get better while still having some sort of a life to be able to get through the day, the week, the month, the year.